Veera Hiranandani. Veera Hiranandani is an Indian American. She grew up in Hindu, Jewish, American, and Indian culture with a Jewish American mother and a Hindu Indian father. Growing up, she identified as a mixed racial person because of this and was utterly confused with her cultural background. In this presentation, I will be analyzing how identity and culture are expressed in the language of novels. I will do this by analyzing Veera Hiranandani's religious and cultural identity through her mixed religion of Jewish Hindu and mixed nationality of American Indian by a close analysis of her two famous novels, The Night Diary and The Whole Story of Half a Girl. Veera's religious identity is expressed as being a Jewish Hindu. In the novel, the character has to live through stereotypes that are placed on the Hindus in America through cow worshipping. Hindus are often categorized as odd and peculiar in American culture, which is shown in this text, with the addition of another religion that was still not fully acceptable at the time, Judaism. How can you be Jewish and Indian at the same time? Acceptance of her mixed cultures and religions was not common and was often ridiculed, leaving her to be confused about her own identity as she did not fit into either category. Such questions are common throughout the book and feed into the theme of not fitting in because of mixed identities. The character also has to live through challenging two religions in one house, with bias from each side of the family, by being told she's Jewish, even if there are other parts of her which she is not able to fully apprehend, because of the lack of interest in Hinduism in her family. The character's mother tries to implement Judaism on her more than Hinduism, already knowing that she belongs to both. This disables her to understand what Hinduism really means to her, and she is left on her own to figure it out. This way, she loses parts of her religious identity, which is shown when the character in another book of hers is grasping the idea of the lost religion in her family that she knows is a part of her. But you're still a part of me, Mama. Where does that part go? In this context, the character is talking about her lost Islamic religion and reflects the same feeling the author had as a child who didn't understand where some parts of her identity came from. The author shows sympathy for the character because she herself went through the same struggles of losing parts of Hinduism in her family, while being stereotyped from her peers, as well as bias from her maternal side on Judaism. Cultural identity, American Indian. Being biracial in a country that isn't used to the normality of mixed cultures is difficult, especially as a child. Veera portrays her characters in such a way that they are not aware of their identities, reflecting upon her own struggles as an American Indian. Confusion arises consequently throughout the book, from both the character and the people around her, which leads her to believe she has chances of losing one identity in order to fit in. Her own surroundings and peers could not understand the origin of both her name and how she came to be two nationalities in one person. "Where are you from?" Cindy asked. "Here," I say. "But your name, where's that from?" "My father's from India," I say. "Oh, like does he wear feathers in his hair and stuff?" This eventually compelled her to lose one identity in order to satisfy everyone and to fit in. The feathers aspect relates to everyone around her confusing her as being an American Indian, as in Native Americans, which was also another struggle she had to go through to explain how mixed people exist and how she is half Indian. And since fitting in resulted in the loss of her Indian identity slowly losing, she became more prone to celebrating American celebrations and forgetting about her Indian cultural celebrations, which are not given enough attention and importance in her family. By India being part of her while growing up and not part of her identity, this results in complete loss of culture and heritage. Having to travel to India just to experience the culture and not having it practiced in her own half-Indian household expresses a lot about how she felt she lost that part of her identity because of being so pushed into the American culture. Vera uses such examples to illustrate her childhood from expectations around her family and friends, as well as the confusion about her identity. The characters in the books often code switch between Urdu and Hindi sociolects along with English, showing how it wasn't easy to live in another country while speaking two languages that were both a part of her mother tongue. The author, being an American Indian, used English on a daily basis, but also spoke in limited Hindi, which she tried to emphasize on her books. Vera Hirandandani uses her novels as a platform to express her identity, along with the struggles that she had finding her identity from her mixed religion and nationalities. Her characters are portrayed in a sympathetic way, because the author personally knows how to emphasize with the characters to create a more effective dialogue in communicating the identities of Hindu Jewish and American Indian.